What should we talk about? Krishna.
Oh, fine. I already taught for 6 years. Seems like everybody loves
For 6 years? 6 years was last time, right?
I'm trying now.
And the wait went so quickly, right? The wait it wasn't even 6 years. Flash. The yuga.
Flash of an eye and the yuga can be. Hopefully it's studying well.
You could try to, but try like this. Anything I could. If I stop it, then we have to start all over. Let me just try
This was
nope.
this was cutting edge at one point. These little things. I think there's like. And there's also like a.
Oh, the little clip you put on you.
The podcast mics or something like that.
Yeah.
We're good.
Don't move.
Fully
You're
operational.
You're shining. You're good. You got your coffee. All is well.
Okay, we can do this.
Just don't move.
All right, I'm on there. Are we good? Are we on?
You don't have this.
Okay. Yeah. And please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Mangalam Guru Devaya Devi Matriksha Mangalam Mangalam Bhakta Brindevyo Sarvalokaya Mangalam Om Stapakaya Chadarmasya Sarvadharma Sarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Mangalam Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Reva Param Brahman Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sarashiva Samarambam Shankarachara Madhyamam Ashmarachara Prayantam Vande Gurum Param Param Om Bhadrakali Namo Nityam Saraswati Namo Namaha Veda Viranga Vedanta Vijastana Evacha Sri Ganesha Shar Gurubhyur Mahari Om Jai Ma Jai Ma. So after a long break, first break was for 6 years, right, between a little bit like that, and then we gave the break on speaking about on the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Mahapurana, and then we did one talk where we reintroduced the importance of the Bhagavatam and its position, and its focus and its purpose, its content, and the traditional understanding of how it's come down to us, and then that's the way things are here. That's been over a month, I think, a month and a half. So anyways, we have full enthusiastic intention of continuing to speak on this regularly. We'll see how it goes. Last time I held up my early Bhagavatams, right, from high school, but I realized they didn't feel quite right. They are not my early Bhagavatams. I just found these yesterday. This is my first version of the Bhagavatams, the Gita Press from. The other ones I have are the new version. They're a little thinner. They didn't look old enough. But these are
Those are ancient.
Oh, they're good. I got them at the Yoga Center in Costa Mesa. And, I forget what I paid for them, but they were expensive for what they were. Cloth bound. I had never seen such books before. But they're really wonderful. And the translation, there's several, as far as translations go. Of course, the most famous in America is the translation of Srila Prabhupada, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami. He translated most of it. He did until his passing, and then his disciples finished it. And we have that, and I think it's our version right now. I think it's in 19 or 20 volumes, right, with commentary. There's another. This is probably my personal favorite because I have the most relationship with it. And the Gita Press actually they have their magazine. Interesting because there's little book presses, religious book press. Their magazine, Kalyan Kapaturu, I think it's called, right, has the largest readership, and people sign up for it. What's that called? Subscriber of any magazine in the world. Right, so it's their influence is huge, right? And if you're in India and you go to any religious fair, the book stalls, 80% of the books are books by Gita Press. And I like Gita Press's standard of translation. They have a clean, simple, devotionally oriented translation scheme without too much philosophical leaning in particular direction into Vedanta or yoga or something, unless that's the topic being discussed. So I tend to like them, so it's very nice. And then another translation that's also very nice is by Swami Bhajanananda, the Ramakrishna mission. I think it's in 4 volumes. And that one is very beautiful, very clean, very easy to read. Sometimes it's a little bit elaborated. Like the meaning. Some of you said sometimes you translate the meaning rather than the words. So sometimes the meaning. It's actually nice. You know what the meaning is. It's also very nice. But sometimes if 3 sentences gets given, or 3 words get given 3 sentences. I think there's a lot going on there, but still really good. So the translation I'm using is mostly my own, as whenever I can. In these years of doing, sometimes some sections were just it's like 5 pages of descriptions of mountains and trees, and I didn't have the energy to spend time, trying to bring out dictionaries and things like that. Now I guess there's new ways to do it using the computer. You have to show me how to do that. So last week we mentioned, or last time, some of the tradition of who the speaker is, what the scene is, and its orientation. I don't want to, because we gave that talk, and most of you weren't here, but I don't want to give the same talk again. But I will read verse 1 of the Bhagavatam. Actually, the very first line in some versions is what we just chanted, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And then some versions also, I think this has the Bhagavat Mahatmya, which is a text that describes the glory of the Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as the benefits of hearing it in over 7 days, called Bhagavat Sapta. It's also very, very beautiful. Not all versions have it. Mahatmya is a type of thing that describes the glory of a text, right? So it's almost always written later. But Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that's considered the seed of the whole text, right? And so simple meaning, we chant it every time and all the other 18,000 verses are considered commentaries of this mantra. Right. And this mantra has layers like any esoteric mantra and the esoteric tradition, where the bha means this and the ga means that. There's that type of analysis, which we won't go into. But in simple, just remember, because I think this is how we understand these verses. we bow to Lord Vasudeva, right? And Vasudeva is generally described as having two main meanings. One, Vasu means that which is expansive, so it's a name for Brahman, right? The universal, all-pervading consciousness, the ground of being, right? Krishna as Brahman, as the supreme Brahman, and Vasudeva is also, by a trick of Sanskrit grammar, is the son of Vasu, right? So Vasudev is Krishna's father, and his, can't say biological father, but in the story, and then Vasudeva becomes the son of Vasudeva. So these two things are being simultaneously held, that we're talking about the supreme reality, and also talking about the son of somebody, the human being. So the avatar or the incarnation, right? The personal and the ground. And so every time he's mentioned, I think you have to think of these dual meanings of Krishna. And actually, Krishna I have that verse. Let me see if I tell you. No, I didn't put. There's a verse in the first chapter that says actually the supreme truth, the one non-dual truth. It says, I'm doing it from memory, is understood in three features. Right? It says Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Right. So this morning we were discussing. Swami Bhajanananda reminded this afternoon that Thakur it says almost identical thing on the boat ride with Keshav Sen. He says that you remember the
same one worshipped by the Atman of the yogis, the Brahman of the Jnanis, and the Bhagavan of the
it's the same one, right? So the same thing. And so here the Atman of the yogis is equivalent to Paramatma. That's the language, right? So there's three. So you're already dealing with the Paramatma, the all-pervading or the inner self, the supreme self. That here is described as the goal of that's meditated upon by yogis. The Brahman meditated and thought about, and reasoned about, and argued about, and discussed, and written books about, written by Jnanis, and the one that's loved and known through love as Bhagavan, as a supreme, as a personal Lord, by bhaktas, right? As the same deity. So similar, that Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva has within it the three. So verse 1, the traditional verse 1, I will read. It's a long verse. I was very happy when I figured out what I think it means. Actually, for the four translations, the 3 or 4 translations I mentioned, they all have, like, you put them side by side, they don't look at all like. There's a lot going on in there. The one, it ends up, it says actually the last line, which is the point, the goal, Satyam Padam Dhimahi. We meditate upon that supreme truth, right? So whatever that supreme truth is, now it's described as, what is that truth? The one from whom this universe is born, exists and dissolves, who is its direct and indirect cause, who is omniscient, who is independent, who originally revealed knowledge in the heart of Brahma, the original poet, who is a mystery to even the gods, in whom exists the manifestations of the 3 gunas, such as fire, water, and earth, in whom there is never any illusion. Upon that supreme truth I meditate. Satyam. So whoever we're dealing with, that's his nature. And so there's another line that's important to remember, and it's a line that can be understood in different ways, and it's also it's kind of like there's certain, like the like gotcha lines or something, or the bludgeon, or I call them bludgeon verses. Like in the Bible, there's like no one comes to the Father but through me, right? All of sin fallen short. They're like 3 or 4 verses you can use as in a sectarian way, although they could have, maybe those are part of their meanings, or maybe those are the meanings, but they can be interpreted in a very a more metaphysical or just more open-hearted way, right? So similarly, there are certain verses in the Bhagavatam that are kind of the bludgeon verses in a sectarian. One of which is also in the first section, where the various long descriptions of all these different avatars of Vishnu are mentioned. I'm making up numbers, but something like 34 avatars or something like that, right? And then it ends the line, and included in that line is also Rama and Krishna. These are also, and Balaram are also mentioned. And then it says, there is as many avatars as there are drops of water in eternal waterfall. So this is not a full list. The list is not complete, right? But then it says, Krishna tu Bhagavan Swayam. This is the bludgeon verse, right? But Krishna is the Bhagavan Swayam is himself. It could be himself Bhagavan, or the original Bhagavan, right? It could be Swayam, Bhagavan himself is actually Bhagavan. It's the original Bhagavan, or Swayam. It's the one from which the other come from. It can all these meaning. Right, so sometimes therefore it's a sectarian text. It's from a Vaishnava tradition, so it's a text of Vasudeva worship, right? So it's presenting the worship of Krishna, right? But without this term, we have to remember who's Krishna. He's Bhagavan Swayam. He's the one where the story is about. Actually, until the Bhagavatam, we almost 20 years we're studying, we're going through verse by verse the Bhagavatam, and only recently have we gotten to Krishna Lila, right? Every other Lila is mentioned before Krishna is mentioned, only in the 10th book, right? So Krishna is not the only one mentioned, but here we are finally at Krishna, and to understand Krishna's Lila, you have to understand he's Bhagavan. Otherwise, who is he? He's just this guy, right? He's a naughty kid who's accident prone, right? And actually, it's beautiful because we're in the childhood Leelas right now, most of the things that happen to him, things happen to our kids also. They get in trouble, they get in accidents, and we get worried about them, but here we have to remember, but this is different because he's God, right? And all of a sudden, it's not just a regular accident. A demon has attacked them. A ghost is sent by a great monster to kill him and things like this, But without understanding that who we're talking about is not just a little boy, right? He's Bhagavan himself, right? So that's important. So that's where we are. So where we ended years ago, 6-7 years ago, was we had finished a section known as Brahma Vihohana Lila. And this is the bewilderment of Brahma. And usually it's described as Brahma's confusion, but actually when you ask somebody the story, it was when Brahma stealing the calves and cowherd boys, right? You know the story? Anybody not know the story? Kind of know the story. Everybody were Krishna. So the story, actually, I'll very it's a story where Krishna had just killed a great demon, named I don't know if I remember his name. It's been a long time. Aghasura. It's been many. We used to think of it all the time. Now we haven't thought of it. Aghasura is a snake demon, right? And he's the brother of Putana. If you know Putana, the one who tried to kill Krishna. So there's 3 demons that were siblings under Kamsa. So Aghasura, he became a giant snake, and that went for 8 miles long snake. And he opened his big mouth looking like an entrance to a cave. And Krishna and the boys went into the cave. He used to go, oh, let's adventure. There's a new cave here. Right? And they're always I guess we'd call it feral. We grew up, come back by dinner. So this is a different time. Now I don't think we'd let the kids out of sight now like this. But we were like this too. We'd go into some dangerous adventure, right? But it turned out to be a giant snake. The snake closed its mouth and it's going to kill them all. And then Krishna got bigger and it got so big he plugged his breathing holes and kind of blew up his head and killed the snake, and they all escaped, right? So Brahma, the secondary creator, the creator, right? He saw this. He was amazed by this, and something happened that made him think, what else will he do, right? And there's different commentaries that describe like what motivated him to then decide, what I'll do, I'll steal Krishna. I'll steal all of Krishna's cowherd friends and steal all the cows, and then we'll see what he does. So something, he's trying to see how strong he is, or I'll show him how strong I am. This little boy thinks he's so big, but I'm Brahma with 4 heads, created the universes, right? So maybe it's out of ego, maybe it's out of like, but I was reminding myself of traditional commentaries, right, this morning and late last night, and it seems to be like that part of it is just, what else is he going to do, right? He did something amazing, right? But it says, but the idea to do this is, that's why it's called the Maya, the delusion of Brahma. Something deluded him to make him think to do this. So what made him? I have 5 talks recorded on YouTube on this whole scene with all the proper traditional interpretations. But so it says that Yoga Maya, the Krishna's own Maya, his own power, purposely deluded him, right? So that he can create some sweet pastime, some sweet scene, right? That we can learn from, right? And there's many reasons, and one of the reasons we'll get to what happened. I'll tell you the quick story, because where we're picking up is after the story, after the scene happens. So the boys wander off and the cows wander off, and then Krishna goes looking for them and they're gone. And he gets worried, oh my God, they're gone. He says, the parents are going to be very worried, right? He says, no problem. So he just expands himself into replicas of all the cows, all the calves, and replicas of all the children, all the cowherd boys. And then they go home as if nothing happened, right? And so they live, and so it says it happens. Remember, a day of Brahma is like, a day of Brahma is like a year, right? So they said it happened just over a day, right? But the time differences are there. And so actually on earth, a year passed, right? But for Brahma, he just did it and nothing would happen. And he looked back and, he stole the kids, put them in a cave asleep, and he came back and the kids are all there, right? And the cows are all there. He said, but I thought I put them there. And while he's figuring this out, a year had passed, right? I guess gravity was different on Brahma-loka or whatever. Isn't that the thing that causes time to move faster or something? Right? Something like that, right? How it works. And so during that time, what happened? When Krishna expanded himself into all the boys and all the cows became so affectionate to their calves, right? And they were pouring milk and licking their calves, even more. Of course, a cow has so much affection for its calf, but the affection was even more because the calf was Krishna, right? And then the children, the parents, their love for their children became even greater, right? Because because it literally was Krishna, right? And so during this year, they were in even more affectionate bliss, right? The cows were pouring affection on the calves, and the gopis and gopas were pouring affection on the young cowherd boys, right? And actually during that year, right, the boys came old in age. People got married early, right? The boys came of age. Many of those boys came of age and got married to very young gopis, right? The betrothal system, betrothal. Betrothal, thank you. It didn't sound right in my head. Betrothal system, right? And so they were married, right? So who were they married to? They were married to these cowherd boys who were actually Krishna, right? So it says this is why Krishna's Mahamaya actually deluded the real purpose, the real reason, from the Rasika type of interpretation of why Brahma got deluded and thought to steal the boys and the calves, is to satisfy 3 very pure desires, right? The cows loved their children, but they really loved Krishna, right? He was everyone's love, right? And they were thinking, if only I could serve Krishna with as if they were my children, right? That Krishna could suckle for me directly, not just drink my milk and cheese and things like that. So during this year, they all got to directly serve Krishna as children. And then the cowherd girls, the wives, the older women, the gopis, were also thinking, if only we could have Krishna as our children, right? If our children if I could be like Yashoda, has so much affection for Krishna, if I could have that affection, right? I could have Krishna. And so literally they got Krishna as their child, right? And the young girls, they were always thinking Krishna is very handsome, you see, even as a young boy. Like, if only we could marry Krishna. They also married Krishna, right? So they actually, during this year, they're getting married to regular other gopas, right? But they're actually married. So there's all ways to interpret what happened. And then there's a bigger metaphysical, a simple, these are bhava reasons, right? There's a simple fact that Krishna has become cows and bulls, showing that he can become everything, right? So there's a metaphysical meaning that he can become, has become, and can become everything. The Gita in the 7th chapter, there's that, it's like a culminating verse that a very high devotee, after many years of austerities and difficulties, realizes Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, that everything is Vasudeva, that God has become everything, right? So this is, in the story, this is, at least we can see how he can become cows and cowherd boys, right? But there's a bigger story. He has become literally not just cows and cowherd boys. He's become everything, right? And even in the story, it said that there's actually 3 sets of cows and calves and children, whereas there's the original set, right? And then when Brahma stole them, Brahma really can't steal them. This is the idea, like in Tulsidasa's remind us as Ravana steals Sita, right? Wrong. He steals Chaya Sita or Maya Sita, right? So you can never touch Sita. Sita is directly the energy of the Lord and things like that. It's impossible, right? So you took something that looks like Sita. So when he stole the children, he didn't steal the children. These are directly Krishna's associates. They're not normal beings, right? And so there's that set, right? And then he created another set out of himself. So there's actually 3 sets of this going on. So the year goes on, right? And then Brahma is amazed and he sees the children in the, I'm trying to remember the scene. I haven't read it in some years. The children coming back, and he sees, in place of all the children, all the cows, he sees 4-armed forms of Vishnu. He sees how each one of them is a form of Vishnu with 4 arms. Kaustubha gems, Banamala flowers, all the normal signs of a Vishnu Rupa. Right, so he's incredibly, and then he falls down. He realizes, I've made maybe a mistake, maybe not a mistake, because otherwise what realization he got, how he's become everything, or can become everything. And so the prayers that we're on is what he, although there's some beg for forgiveness, but actually it's more than just forgive me for stealing the cows and children. Let's see. So I was thinking, it is maybe unnecessarily philosophical, but we like unnecessary philosophy, right? It's like, who's Brahma in all this, right? You know, it's such an interesting character. We just assume, because usually we think, in the Bhagavatam itself, after mentioning the supreme truth, the one supreme truth is known in 3 features, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. It also describes, and then it goes to describe all the incarnations, and it describes different types of incarnations. One of them is a guna. One of them is guna avatars, incarnation of the gunas, right? And though the main gunas avatars are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So as Brahma, he is a guna avatar of Rajaguna, he creates. As Vishnu, as a guna avatar of the Sattva guna, he sustains and saves. And as Rudra or Shiva, the avatar of incarnation of Tamas, he destroys. Right, so that's another thing. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are also manifestations of Krishna or Vishnu in the story, right? In philosophically, right? But he's nearly, I mean, in that sense, they're the Trimurti, the three powers, 3 aspects, the 3 of Bhagavan. But usually in the stories, Brahma is not in the same category as Vishnu and Shiva. Vishnu is directly he's the supreme for Vaishnava, Shiva. But there's not like a tradition of like where I mean there's Vaishnavas and Shaivas, and there's what are the worshippers of Brahma?
Christians.
That's a very interesting thing, right? So there's not normally, right? There's actually there's stories to justify why nobody worships Brahma. Right, there's some stories and like that, but even those stories, why not worship Brahma? He's a creator, right? So we usually say he's a secondary creator, right? So even in that first verse that describes that who param satyam param dhimahi, we made a supreme truth, one of which from whom the universe comes, right? So he's a creator. So and then it says who illumined the heart, who who revealed the truth in the heart of Brahma, right? So Brahma is not the original creator, right? He's not the satya pada satya, right? It's like and the truth gets revealed to him by pada satya, right? So it's interesting, this idea of a secondary creator in like in like Platonic and Neoplatonic philosophy, we have this what is it, the demiurge. It's like, and I remember when I heard the demiurge, it's like demi is like a partial urge is like some desire or something. But demiurge means craftsman, right? It means like a builder is a demiurge. It's the ergos means worker, so somebody who does something. It's the one who the builder of something, right? And generally, like in Platonic philosophy and religion. Actually, when we say Platonic philosophy, it's really religion. It's funny because until very recently, until my late adult life, realizing that that these are actually all religious texts. We've taken school. You're in philosophy. They're stripped of religions almost entirely, right? And it's only taken philosophically, right? But it was taken. The demiurge and Plato was a benevolent god that by his proximity, I'm getting, it's not my normal proximity and exposure to the world of forms. We're getting really far out there. Out of that, from his own memory, can create a world, right? Because he has access to this type of. He has access to the eternal and perfect forms, and therefore from that, he's seen what tables look like, and therefore creates tables. He's seen what people look like, creates people. These original forms, if you know the form idea like this, right? Right. But then from Platonism and Neoplatonism, it developed like that. But then we get to really interesting. When I first heard the word demiurge, right, is in religious studies with Gnosticism. Right, because the Gnostics are very interesting, and we like Gnostic. We get the word very similar to the word knowledge and jnana, right? It's the same like that. And so we like them because these are cool mystics, right? But they're also hyper dualistic system, where you have an all perfect God and a completely fallen evil world, right? And so I remember I was I'm still fascinated by these things, but I remember I used to really interested in Gnostic texts because it so spoke to me as a metaphysical, occult type of spiritual teenager like that. And you realize that's a pretty heavy view of the world, right? And part of the view, as some versions of Gnosticism, there's no one religion called Gnosticism. It's now scholars look at it just like a tendency of the ancient world. We put in with certain characteristics. We put in that there were no self-understood Gnostics in the early time, right? And it's a tradition that did not, for the most part, did not survive. But they were a big contender in early Christianity. They could have. If they would have won, it would have been a very different world, right? But what are the view is you have what is this world, and this world is matter. This world is fallen. It's the body is decomposing and it's limited, right? And it's desire, and it's what is it? The Yoda says crude. What was that?
Luminous beings.
Yes.
Not this crude matter.
Yeah, that's a great Gnostic statement. Yoda, our first guru, maybe that's why I like Gnosticism, because my first guru, right? He says, he points at during his first instruction to the young disciple, Luke, he says, "Luminous beings you are, not this crude matter," right? Who realize so then where does this crude matter come from? Well, obviously, a good love and all loving, all powerful, all good God would never trap us in the material world and trap us in material bodies and trap us in ignorance, right? So who did it, right? So somebody built this evil world and trapped us in the material body, right? So that's the demiurge, a second God, right? A lesser God, because actually it's more pantheistic than we like to think about, right? A second God. And this God either is evil, some would hold as evil, or takes himself too seriously. And that's something more like what Brahma, some of the stories of Brahma as a demiurge character, takes himself too seriously and thinks, I must be God. Look at the world I created. So it then becomes a symbol of ego and things like that. So it's interesting that this idea of the demiurge in Western tradition is very different, but it's there in Hinduism with Brahma. And then what's he the symbol of? So often in this story, it's sometimes seen as a symbol of ego, and he has 4 heads. So that's an easy thing, like Ravana has 10 heads, and a big head is a sign of a big ego. So imagine 4 big heads, And there's stories we had a 5th head, he got a little out of control, and he misbehaved, or he claimed he was more than, or he lied about who he was, or claimed to be more. There's different stories, and got humbled. So there's a lot of stories of the humbling of Brahma, right? And so this could be a story like that, and that's one way it's interpreted. And also there's also a clear sectarian thing. He's not Vishnu, right? And he thinks he's all powerful. Look, he with his mystic potency, he stole the cows and made them disappear. But within a second, look what Krishna did. Look how more powerful Krishna is. And then you have the humbling of Brahma, and he's going to offer these prayers. That's another layer of meaning, right? So let's look at these verses. Brahma uvacha. Finally, Srimad Bhagavatam. We're in chapter 10. And I don't remember which. I didn't write down which. We're in book 10. Which chapter, and I don't exactly remember, but right. And it's interesting. It's going to change meters, and there's a text that's quoted in the ancient world. Ancient world means 700-800 years ago, right? There's references to it, but it was lost. And so the story goes, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in South India at a temple, he found a chapter of this text called Brahma Samhita, the prayers of Lord Brahma at the dawn of creation, right? And so we have at least one chapter, right? Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami is a famous refrain during parts of the verses, right? So it's interesting. That's said to be in the voice of Lord Brahma, right? And so here the meter changes, and it's the same meter. So it's interesting. It's one of the 3-4 meters, like 4 meters in the Bhagavatam, 3 or 4 meters. Brahma uvacha. Let me see. Make it big. See if I can remember how to chant it. Naumi jate bhra-vapus tari id-ambarāya guñjāvatam sa-paripiccha-lasan-mukhāya vanya-sraje kavala-vetra-vis ma-śriye du-pade paśu-pāńgajāya. It's a beautiful. That meter is very beautiful. Because I know only a few verses of Brahma Samhita. So whenever I find this verse like this meter, I have to go Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajanananda. Then I get it. That's my way in. That's what I was stopping for a second. So this is what Brahma, after seeing what he's seen, he stole the children, he stole the cows. Right, he turns back around, and they're all there. Not only they're all there, they're all 4-handed forms of Vishnu. Right, so he realizes something mysterious, and who he's dealing with is not normal. Right, and so he bows and offers a set of prayers. I have to check something real quick. There's a Bhaktivinoda Thakur, an important Vaishnava teacher of the last century. He has a book called Krishna Samhita. Let me find it here, where he gives interpretation of the different scenes. Like what is meditating on Krishna killing the Kaliya serpent? What does that mean? Or Krishna, or being the Putna scene of the like each one has some meaning, and Meditam has some meaning. So he's given some hint what he believes, right? The story we're supposed to learn from the story, right? One of which is that it's to overcome. You have to think as I think of the story, and I read these lines, trying to think how does this mean this. Is to overcome mundane activities, karma, I guess you would say, or selfish karma, and speculative scholarism. Scholarship, yes. Scholasticism. That's the word I was looking. I didn't. And so it's both karma and jnana. And actually, what are the other options? And usually in the tradition is karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti, right? And so here this is a critique of karma and jnana. So this is, and Bhagavatam, as we mentioned, is a devotional text from before, right? And it's in a little bit in challenging the normative idea that jnana is the purpose of life. Bhakti becomes the purpose of life. That's one of the stories, what's going to be, what he's going to talk. So the first verse, it says, I worship you, the primeval Lord, naumi idyate. Now it's going to describe pretty much a dhyan mantra, right? It's describing a beautiful form of Krishna. Actually, here, a little different. The Krishna in my kutir, if you've been in my kutir, is 90% matches this dhyan sloka. The only difference, I think, he's not in three pose, and he doesn't have a little thing of yogurt rice in his hand. That's one thing. And it's very interesting. The whole thing, as Krishna expands himself into cows and children, right? The whole time he's sitting there with his lunch, and their lunch is yogurt rice. So it's interesting. So it's a very sweet, But anyway, I'll read. This is mostly describing the form Krishna's. So this is what Brahma is seeing. He's describing, I bow to you, and describing him. So this is a proper dhyan sloka. I worship you, the primeval Lord, whose body is like a dark cloud, right? Whose garment is like lightning. So that's a beautiful. We see that several times. It's like Krishna is like like a rain cloud, and his body is this vidvut vastra is like the yellow of a lightning. So it's beautiful. He has dark skin and a yellow cloth, but how poetic, pastorally poetic, where it's like a dark cloud with lightning. That beautiful. The image I think is very, very beautiful. The normal dhyan sloka we use for Krishna also has that image in it. That's why. Wearing a garland of guñjā berries. Guñjā. Also, my Krishna has guñjā berry in my leg. If you want to go afterward and look at what a guñjā berry. Guñjā berry. Sometimes we have nobody in here has guñjā berry. There are little black beads and red beads and white beads. Sometimes they're mixed, right? And they're also very sacred to matangi, right? Matangi, and they're very poisonous. You have to be careful, right? But they're very auspicious, and Krishna was fond of them. Radha used to make garlands of them. And they have some like auspicious qualities, like the red one's supposed to bring prosperity and the black ones protect from magic or something like it. People wear them as talismans. Do it again. I have my notes. Actually, I do write something in my notes. Red guñjā seeds attract wealth and ward off negative influences, and the black seeds provide protection and enhance spiritual growth. Right, that's for the shastras. So he's wearing. So it means his mother. Why is he wearing these? His mother put them on him for protection. So it's like his mother thinking this little boy is going off to the forest. We need all protection, right? So all the proper kavachas, right? He has a peacock feather, right? In classic pose, Krishna's peacock feather, and of course there's peacocks in Vrindavan, right? This is a forest, so this is the thing, and it says that the symbolically peacock feathers are signs of attraction, right? Attractive power. They're beautiful, right? And so in ancient India, they're signs of attraction and power. And the fact he has one on his crown shows that he's controlling everything like this. And then in some of the later devotional texts, and even Sri Ramakrishna mentions also the symbol of the feminine symbol, right? That he controls Prakriti and Shakti, right? There's a story, interesting. Just meditate. His form is so interesting. Every detail has some meaning. Where did he get his peacock feather? there's a story in the Bhagavatam itself, I think, where Krishna was dancing with the gopis, right? And the peacocks were also dancing with him, right? And it was a frenzied dance that lasted. Eventually, everybody became completely exhausted, right? And then the peacocks, which were also dancing, right? They wanted to give something as a gift to Krishna, right? And so they gave their best thing. They gave their fancy feathers. So it's not just that he found it. He says that the peacocks, in the ecstasy of dancing with Krishna and the gopis, gave him their peacocks, their feathers for his hat or his head. Whose face shines, śrī-brahmovāca, a garland of forest flowers. This is vanya-sraje. This is also another word for that is vanamala. My Krishna in my kutir is named Vanamali, the one who wears forest flowers. Right? Vanamala. Holding a morsel of food. This is the yogurt. We know from previous verses that's yogurt rice, sticky yogurt rice. A stick, right? A buffalo horn and a flute. And whose beautiful feet are soft. The son of a cowherder. So this is very human description. So who he's seeing is, he sees this beautiful boy dressed in the way we normally think of Krishna. Actually, what's missing in some of the things, like our baby Krishna on the shrine, there's he has a cane, right? You usually don't see Krishna with a stick. Usually we see the flute, but he has all these things. Krishna on the big shrine, hanging. Usually it's hanging on his elbow, but it's on below. He has a what they call a cowhorn, bullhorn, right? So all these are the.
Shofar?
Yes, that's the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Across tradition, that holy sound is there. So these are the symbols of Krishna. So first is describing who he's seeing, and then he begins to continue his prayers. Asya pideva papushu anugrahasya swachamayasya svecha manasya natubhuta manasya kopi neshe mahitva asitum manashantarena sa shattvaiva kimutamatma sukhanubhutehe, something like that. So this body he's seen, now he's going to describe, O Lord, your body, asya api deva vapusaha, which is an instrument of grace to me. Right. So the first thing he describes this body is mat anugrasyaha. Right. That this body has appeared for me is only it's for my benefit. You're showing mercy on me. So of course, if we see Krishna in front of us, we can say this is definitely he's appeared to show grace to you, right? To bless you, right? So this is true with every movement was Krishna. Everything he was doing is only showing grace. Actually, we take a human body at the very end of the 9th skanda, before Krishna Lila started. The question comes: why did Krishna take birth? Right? And it says we take birth out of karma and kama, out of our desire and what we deserve, out of karma, right? He says, but Krishna has no kama and not normal kama and not normal karma, right? He has no past, right? And he has no normal desire. So why does he take birth? She says he takes birth only out of mercy, right? Whatever is mercy. It could be the mercy of blessing the dead. Like what Krishna says in the Gita, what was it? When dharma declines and adharma arises, I embody myself to destroy the wicked and save. Destroying the wicked and saving the good is an act of mercy. Restoring dharma and destroying adharma is an act of mercy. You can give to him. You can. Yeah. He'll put. Yeah. So Krishna, as an avatar, he comes either to save devotees, kill demons, protect the good, enact some loving lila. Something is always the motivation is always mercy. But also personally, if we encounter him, it's only out of mercy. And in this particular scene, right, it's definitely you have to imagine it's for his purification, for his humbling in the story. He comes only out of mercy. Lord, your body, previously described, which is the instrument of grace on me, appears by your will. Swa-paripiccha-lasan-mukhāya. Right? So we are born perhaps out of Maya. He's born out of his own will. Right? He's swa-paripiccha. And not by the power of the material elements. Na tu-bhuta manasya. So he's not born out of, like we have a body born out of the elements. Right? He's born out of his own divine ichcha, his own will. Even with my mind withdrawn in meditation, manasa antarana sakashat, I cannot grasp its strength or its greatness or its glory. So this form, even in meditations, now he's showing the limits of meditation. As for we understood, but even with a mind completely withdrawn, thinking of you, I cannot understand the nature, the glory, the majesty, the mystery of this form I'm seeing, your form. What to speak then of understanding your blissful self? Atma shuka anubhutaha. So even your body, if I meditate upon it, I cannot fully understand. What to speak of is something beyond. If we have a body, but there's something more. Krishna doesn't have a body. His body is known as chinmaya rupa. It's his own consciousness, right? But whose consciousness, right? If his body is mysterious and we cannot grasp, what to speak of his blissful self, with his blissful atman. I'll read the next. Already 6:30. I think. Yeah, I think we're getting a maximum people, and it's 6:30.
It's already 6:30.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It works. It makes sense that people are here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these first few verses are describing obviously his body, his chinmaya body, a beautiful description, and describing that whatever it is, I don't understand what it is, but whatever it is, it's definitely it's come from to bless me. It's only grace, right? And though he's going to, the next set of verses is going to describe, and we'll do this next week. I think we still have a meeting next week, right? Is that who would, like, trying to understand you, right? Obviously, I mean, even yogis can't understand you. What to speak of just thinking about you, right? Is there another way to understand you? So then he presents that this hearing about you and thinking about you, right, and loving you becomes the method of knowing, right? So this is what my sannyas guru Swami Bhajanananda, he actually talking about the Mahatmyam. He pulls verses from the Bhagavatam Mahatmyam, these opening verses, and there's a conversation where bhakti. He said, well, the punchline of it is that he says bhakti without jnana is possible. You can have devotion without knowledge, but it's incomplete, right? So better to have knowledge, right? Also, and vairagya and things like that. But he says, but knowledge without bhakti, actually says, is impossible. Right, and so this is a challenge. This is from the challenge. So in these next verses, he's going to strongly argue this point, that bhakti, that trying to know God, to know the absolute, how much struggle we have to do to try to know God, right? But since it's not possible, what do we attain trying to know God? How much struggle, right? We attain struggle, Right, that's going to be I'm giving the punchline because the verses are very beautiful, but I couldn't get. I really want to say this line. After so much struggle trying to know God, at the end of which all you got is a struggle of trying to know God. Right, but there are, and he gives examples since ancient times, people who simply love Him, right, and therefore have direct experience. Anubhav. So we'll continue that next week. Thank you for your kind attention and for your patience for so many years of waiting for these verses to come back. Radhe. We have 1.5 minutes for comments, arguments, recitations, refutations. And I have one more sip. Okay. Or forever hold your peace. When he's going to make arguments about the futility of such arguments. Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Sri Guru Maharaj Ji ki jai, Mahamaya ki jai, Swamiji Maharaj Ji ki jai. Govinda, Govinda. All right. You can leave it running for art.
Somebody parked. Can somebody park across there?
Oh, seemed like a good idea. Seemed like a good plan. That's exactly what happened to me. Govinda. Sri Krishna, lack of hibiscus. You know, camphor lamp. Thank you. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Ganam Svagnavati Gum Vamahe Kavim Kavino Pavasravastamam Vikrajam Brahmanam Brahmanasthathana Simhātadeshvara Saranam Srimam Mahaganapataye Lakshminarayana Mahameshwaravyam Namah Om Niranyakarbham Srimvaram Matapikshayam Srivatavam Kulivatavam Magandritavam Namah Vasudhatavam Mukhandatavam Paravedyo Brahmavedyo Paravedyo Devi Gyurum Namangalayam Varenyam Mridam Shivam Narayanam Namaskritya Sarvakarmanikare Om Aymatpatattam Shriyami Swaha Om Hrim Vidatattam Shriyami Swaha Om Klim Shiva Tattam Shriyami Swaha ॐ ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं सर्वतत्त्वं शूरयामि स्वः विष्णु परमं परं तरापशन्तु सुरजीवितराततं मम अभिवीजवित्रो वा सर्वावस्तं गतोऽपि वा या श्रीकुण्डलिकक्षं साभयभयसि श्रीविष्णु कालभैरवसहितं जय मा जय जय मा जय मा जय मा जय जय मा जय मा जय मा जय जय दक्षिण काली की
जय।
भगवान रामकृष्ण परमहंस देव की
जय।
जय जगन्माता श्री शारदा देवी की
जय।
आचार्य स्वामी विवेकानंद महाराज जी की
जय।
रक्षिणेश्वर धाम की
जय।
नमः पार्वती पते
हर हर महादेव। हाँ।
Oh, that explains. Ram Krishna Krishna Ramachandraya Namo Krishna Ramachandraya Namo Krishna Namo Ram Krishna Ramachandraya Namo Krishna Ramachandraya Namo
Hare
siddhi vinashanam shakti bhute sanatani gunashe gunamai narayani namaste Naranagata Vinata Paritrana Parane Sarvasya Triyare Narayani Namaste Jaya Narayani Namaste Jaya Narayani Namaste Jaya Narayani Namaste Jaya Narayani Namaste Jai Mahamai ki Jai Jai Bhagavatam Ramakrishna Deva ki Jai Jai Swami Maharaj ki Jai Jai Ma Dakshineshwari Bhagavatarini Dakshinakari ki Jai
I just like